Hey, what is going on, guys? This video today is going to be a sort of sequel to a video I released a few months ago during Season 5 of Fortnite. It was titled something along the lines of, "Here's why you're not getting better at Fortnite," and it actually ended up being one of the most well-received and popular videos I've ever made. So this video is basically going to be a follow-up discussing some of the new things I've learned about the process of improving as a Fortnite player over the past few months. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright guys, so the first thing I want to go over in this video is the importance of going beyond just playing public match Fortnite. And this tip I think is going to be most helpful for guys that are already at least solid at Fortnite, but I think it still applies no matter how good or bad you already are at the game. So let's say you're a player that has anything over like a 2 or 2.5 KD. And with that KD, you're very likely an above average player. Obviously, stats don't tell the whole story in Fortnite, but you gotta think, in the average Fortnite game, somewhere around 100 total players will be eliminated, and somewhere around 95 of those eliminations will be recorded by other players in the game. So with some simple math, that puts the average KD at right about 1.0. And if you have a 2 or a 2.5, then you're almost definitely above average. Now, as I'm sure anybody who's played public match Fortnite would be able to tell you, it's pretty much a mixed bag when it comes to player skill, and that's probably the same way for really any video game without a skill-based matchmaking system. You can get into one fight and it could be against a guy who doesn't even know how to build, and then 5 seconds later, you could be fighting a guy who played in the Winner Royale tournament. And that is a cool concept, but here's the thing. I'm a strong believer that you don't really learn much from fighting players that you are considerably better than, and to a lesser extent, you don't really learn much from fighting players that are just unbelievably better than you. That second point is definitely not true all the time, so I'll probably get into a little more detail about that shortly. But getting back to the main point here, if you're at least pretty good at the game, you know, you've been playing for a while now, you play a decent amount, you watch the top streamers, you know a lot of building techniques, all of that good stuff that's a part of improving and generally becoming a good player, how much are you really going to improve by fighting a guy who just stares at you while you shoot at him from like a ramp wall head glitch? The truthful answer is you're really not going to improve at all. Now obviously, not all of your fights in a public match game are going to be against new or just very bad players. I would actually say that the skill level of public matches are at an all-time high right now, but that doesn't change the fact that there are going to be a lot of fights where you really don't learn anything or improve as a player at all. It kind of boils down to a cheesy quote you guys have probably heard already: practice doesn't make perfect, perfect practice makes perfect. If you're practicing 3-point shooting and you put up 1,000 shots, but they're all taken with awful form, yeah, you'll probably get a little better, but in all likelihood, you could improve your shooting much more effectively by only taking 400 or 500 shots, but this time with perfect form. How the heck does that all relate to Fortnite? Well, I actually wanted to talk about this same topic in my previous Why You Aren't Getting Better at Fortnite, but at that time, the only viable alternative to public matches were Discord solo snipe / scrims. Those were and still are decent, but they can be hard to get into, it's a somewhat confusing process, even the most stacked lobbies only have like 30 to 40 people actually from the Discord. It definitely does have its fair share of flaws. But about 1 to 2 months ago, Fortnite added pop-up cups into the game. And if you guys follow my channel, you probably know that I talk about these things a lot. They're basically scrim / competitive lobbies that also incorporate skill-based matchmaking to ensure that every lobby is filled with players near the exact same skill level. I truly believe that right now, these pop-up cups are hands down the best way to improve as a Fortnite player, and so many people just flat out ignore them. I can tell you from my own personal experience that playing in super competitive and sweaty lobbies really forced me to improve as a player in a way that just playing public matches never really did. When practically the entire lobby is the exact same skill as you, it forces you to really be on your game 24/7, and it really does make every single fight feel like a challenge. You learn your weaknesses super quickly because you'll frequently get punished for them if you don't correct them. And I think there's this misconception that these pop-up cups are only for the best of the best Fortnite players, but that just isn't true at all. I do think it's most beneficial for those players since public matches are usually a breeze for them, but even if you're just an average player, seriously, go out there and give a pop-up cup or two a legitimate chance. It will make you a much better player in the long run, and you can track your progress along the way. Let's say your first pop-up cup attempt you get 10 points in 2 hours. The next time you get 13 points in 2 hours. Not only are you improving, but you're literally seeing tangible proof of your improvement, which can be tough to come by in most cases. The next piece of advice I want to give to players looking to improve is to not just ignore improving your mechanical skills. I'll give you a great example of what I mean by this. So I have a friend that is a pretty darn good Fortnite player. I'm not sure exactly what his stats are looking like in Season 7, but he's around a career 3 to 3.5 KD player. Before Fortnite, he played a ton of Call of Duty, so his aim is really good, he has solid positioning, and he plays a decent amount, so his IQ is also pretty good. But he is just absolutely lost when it comes to building. I mean, seriously, his most advanced ramp rush is a single ramp wall, he can barely do 90s, he always loses high ground right away in build fights. It's clearly a very major weakness in his game. And I'll always tell him, like, hey bro, even though you're a really bad builder, because he acknowledges it, you're still really good at the game. If you just sat down, went into creative mode, and really focused on improving your building, you could legitimately become an insane player. And he always tells me that it just isn't really worth it. He feels that he's already good enough without building, so why practice it? How much better could it really make him? And although I kinda understand his argument, and it's his own personal decision at the end of the day, I've just always kinda disagreed with it. I mean, just look at a guy like Nick Mercs for comparison. He has always been this guy who has had the absolute best aim, and along with that, his positioning and IQ aren't very far behind his aim at all. And I think that early on in his Fortnite career, when he was just playing public matches, he kinda had the same mindset as my friend. He was so dominant because of all of his other skills that he really didn't need to work on his building to be an absolutely insane player. But what I think really propelled Nick to improve as a builder was playing competitively. He saw that to really succeed on that level, he was going to need to really sit down and put a lot of effort into improving as a builder. And that's exactly what he ended up doing. If you look at his building and his general gameplay now compared to where it was at only a few months ago, it really is a night and day difference. Now, I know the mechanical skill that most people struggle with in Fortnite is aim, and I'll admit that is hands down the hardest thing to improve, especially if you play on console, because you can't just do something like Kovac's Aim Trainer, which is a PC only thing in case you didn't know. I'll probably make a video specifically focusing on improving aim sometime in the near future, but I'll be the first person to admit that so much of getting better accuracy is simply practicing. So don't hesitate to go and shoot those practice dummies in the playground shooting drills. And finally, this last little warning definitely isn't applicable to everybody when it comes to improving as a Fortnite player, but if you are using anything less than the most ideal settings in Fortnite, trust me, you want to get used to and end up using them. I'm mainly referring to things like instant editing, Builder Pro builds instantly, having a building sensitivity multiplier, all of that stuff. I know there's a decent amount of people that look at a setting like instant editing via custom bindings and go, yeah, that sounds cool, but I don't want to learn the new muscle memory for such a small difference. Trust me, I do understand it. I was a person that didn't even switch to Builder Pro until about 3 months after it came out because my mindset was, well, I'm so used to standard button layout and I don't want to fix something that isn't broken. By not using the most ideal settings, you're plain and simple putting yourself at a disadvantage and really limiting your overall skill ceiling as a player. So yeah, you may be trash for a few days while you learn all the things you've switched up, but trust me, it's definitely worth it in the long run. And I hope the majority of you guys have already made that switch. This tip was mostly for some of the newer Fortnite players out there. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down in the comment section below. I want to know, what is your Fortnite KD so far in Season 7? If you don't know it, you could either calculate it yourself through the in-game statistics page, or what would be way easier would be going to Fortnite Tracker. Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.